me sit down next to you if that's all right.
Yeah.
Who am I here with?
My name is Ketu, musician, artist.
Smooth brother right here. This is no doubt a special one because I've known you for a minute now.
Yeah.
We met at the Westchester Park.
Really?
The post-pandemic runs.
That was when we met?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I remember you had the dreads and you was hooping. You was a lefty. I'm like, who is this guy? And now we're here. Where did this come from?
Oh, the music.
Yeah.
A lot of people will probably say this, but it's probably been brewing, I guess, like all my life. But I had never really took like a dive into it until 2019. For like the early part of 2019, I tried making music and it just wasn't working. It was bad. It was not good. It was not good at all. And then later on that year, there was this girl that I'd known for a long time. She came back into my life, and then it's brought up some inspiration. From there, like I kind of knew what I wanted to write about. I knew I wanted to be like honest, sincere, and just be myself and vulnerable. One of my first songs I wrote was "Hold Me," which is on my project Reentry that's out right now. It just came from a desire to make something. Like I had always loved music, and once I had, I guess, a little bit more sufficient funds, I reached out to a friend of mine. He goes by Biako, and he basically, produced my whole first EP.
A true creative, if you love something enough, you're going to try to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to try to create. So it sounds like that's you in music.
That's true.
Where are you from? What's your background? Get into that a little bit. Family, things like that.
So originally I'm from Nigeria. I was born there. And in 2001, I moved to Texas. I was around 5, and we moved to Dallas, Texas, urban Texas, and I spent majority of my time growing up there. And from there, I moved to Houston for school for a semester. Then, after I couldn't stay because of expenses, my mom, who moved out here a year before, was like, "Just come to LA and start over." And I was like, "Okay, sure, why not? I'll see what what the vibes are, I guess." And moving here really changed my life. That was like when I got into art and illustration and design, and from there, music. So I think I really credit, my journey here, being forced to come here has been like a major reason in why I'm making what I'm making right now.
The journey to Los Angeles, what was the culture change like? You said you grew up in Dallas, then you come to LA, and I could imagine it's a whole new world in some ways.
It is, yeah. It's very, very drastic change. It felt like I was in a movie of some sorts. I drive down to Hollywood, and it just felt very like fish out of water kind of vibe. Especially just I haven't really had it's just been like a weird life. I haven't really felt at home anywhere really. So to come to this like brand new place, haven't been forced out of where I was, Houston, because I just circumstances with school. It was this just very brand new and place I had to like explore, I guess.
So you're the only boy growing up in the house?
Yeah, only boy, and then my dad for some time.
How was that?
It was definitely interesting. I mean, I definitely understand women a lot more now. Don't take that as a yeah. So I've gotten to know women majority of my life, and see them in different light than like I guess regular people. So it's definitely interesting. Women are women. Yes, yeah.
Mouthful right there. Women are women.
That was a mouthful.
Indeed. So you were at Otis for a while.
Yes. I went to Otis. Yeah, that was a fun time. I got a degree in graphic design, and then from there I went to Otis because I just fell in love with animation. Once I realized that you can actually you can make animation.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not just a regular thing, or it is a regular thing. You can actually sit down and learn and make it. So I went to school at Otis for like a year and went through like their foundation program.
I wanted to get into Rain on Me. Right. It's nearing 70K listens on Spotify. This was like the track that kind of like okay, like you're doing it.
When I first wrote it, I was just messing around. I was kind of like, I found some chords I found interesting. I had posted it on like a Finsta page, I think, or on my main page. That was, I think, maybe the second song me and my producer Biako like finished. So the timing on there is like really difficult. So because I was so new to making music, I was having a hard time keeping time. I still have some trouble now, but at the time it was like really bad. I was having some trouble. And he was like, maybe we should just shelve this and then come back to it later.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, we can't do that. I gotta finish it. So I finished it. Finally, I was able to lock in. And after sending that to my friend Gary Biddy, who's now my manager, I sent it to him, and then he was like, okay, I'm gonna get you a deal. And that became like his favorite song for like a long time. Like he would send me videos of him, listening to it. And I think that was a big song and like writing moment for me. Like, oh, this is cool. Like I made a cool song. I like how it sounds. With the experience of having Biako like around and working with me, like he's been in the industry like a long time, and he's made some really great records. Super gifted and talented, producer and musician. So like I trusted that with his skill and talent that he would be able to make something beautiful. But there's still kind of like a little bit of doubt and like for me specifically there was some doubt because I had never made music before, so it was just like I'm just kind of going off the vibes. I guess it's cool.
After Rain on Me, you dropped your EP, your first EP.
Yeah.
The process from you have a single, and then like this is like a full on project.
For me, it was very important that I finish something like concrete. So okay, I need to make a project. I can't just make one song and not have any continuity or any kind of depth behind it. So I wanted to make an EP and just put out a solid body of work. Process is really just I had a lot of songs, so it wasn't just Rain on Me that we did like I think the intro to the project did that first, Supernova. So the process is just us just finishing songs that I had already written or I had started. And that, at the end that came about the project, and it was like this five song thing. Go in, finish records, and then you put them together. Thankfully, those were the only songs I made at the time. I think I made maybe 2 or 3 that didn't make the EP at that time, but those are on my most recent project.
How important is it to have a team of producers and musicians behind you that believe in you?
Ooh, it's very important. I think it's very hard to, especially as someone who's never made music before. I could have made it. I could have, done my best to make it myself at that time. It just wouldn't have been as good. It wouldn't nowhere would have been as good. Like I probably would have still wrote those same, words like I did. There's a great benefit to having people who are way more skilled than you in the room. Who can add to what you're doing, or maybe even bring something that you maybe had would never have thought of. I benefited a lot from having so many talented musicians come in and share their gifts. Like I love live instruments. We had drums, we had strings. I want to shout out Emmanuel on the strings and Greg on the drums. He came in on my first project. So there was like all these people who came in and add all this like this great texture. And I think it's very important to have someone that you can lock in with and you trust that can produce, that can really produce and not just throw some things together.
You got signed, bro.
Yeah, it felt great. It felt like a dream. Really, it felt like a gift too. Like it's a great blessing because I knew that I'm just not. I'm talented, sure. I got some skill and like I'm a good storyteller, all that stuff. And the way in which I met the people that helped bring this project together is not something that I can take credit for. There's so many gifted and talented people here in LA, and like for me to sign a deal after only basically like 2-3 years of making music, and I hadn't written a lot of songs. I had written like maybe 6 or 7 songs. I definitely credit that to God, the way he was able to like just bring people in my life that wanted to help me succeed. and who saw uh, in me the talents and like where I could probably take stuff. So it did feel good, and for some time, I mean even now I'll still feel like an imposter, even though like I know I'm good at songwriting, but it's not really about what I can do. It's more about what God does. I don't want to like live in a place where I rely too much on what I can do with like my own hands. Even with like illustration, like I'm very skilled. From in that world, I feel more confident in my skill and time. But even then, still, I can't rely on that as the reason why. Like I've been blessed with all these like great projects and resources.
How has your faith in the Lord Jesus like helped you throughout this new endeavor with music?
It's been tough, honestly. A fear of how other people might receive the music. People who do believe, there's a fear like they might think I'm like not with God, I'm not with the cause, or something. So there's like a lot of doubts that happen. But I know for me, like when I started writing music, I knew internally like a big reason for me writing music, was my relationship with God. And I wanted to write genuine, honest music. There's a book called Art and Faith by Makoto Fujimura. I'm paraphrasing, but he doesn't want to tag Christian as like an adjective. Christ is his life. So Christ is my life. So I'm not necessarily making Christian music or Christian art. I'm just a Christian making music and making art. I don't want to limit myself to only be allowed to make music that specifically only says Christ in it. What I do as part of it is like being a psalmist, so I'm just talking about a range of things that I go through in life. The groundwork for that is my relationship with Jesus and with God. There's freedom there that I found in being able to write about things that have been really personal to me, even moments that have like really hurt me. I still have a conviction to like be honest, to not be hurtful in whatever things I'm saying. Use the music as a space to reflect and live in that freedom and create that freedom that I feel like Christ has given me. But there's definitely like a warfare there. It's like it just feels very daunting and like scary to do that.
So now, I mean, you've got a couple of projects out. You've been working.
Yeah.
Reentry.
Reentry. Yeah.
Stay next to me.
That's my baby.
I love that song. What was that like, getting into that track?
Man,
into that.
I love that track so much. There's all these like full circle moments that come about. So me and Laban Kali co-wrote and co-produced that record, and then Biako assisted with like sound design and a bit more production on the record. But me and him started that record like in the other room, the revival room. And what's incredible was that I first met Laban in early 2019. Like I was doing some illustrations and I had painted a few stuff and like used time-lapse videos and used his music in the time-lapse video. He got like, heard of it, and like, we followed each other back on IG. And I was like, yo, we should like link up. You know what I mean? We should meet. He was super down, invited me to his like place, met his mom. Mom is super sweet, met his family, you know what I mean? They're great. And he invited me to the studio. I'm just there chilling in the back. And that was like one of the first times ever just being in a studio space, really, where people are someone I'm a fan of. First off, I'm a fan of this guy. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of his stuff, his music. And he's, he was gracious enough to let me come by and like kick it with him. And this is before I thought I could sing. So I'm like back there just, humming and singing. And he's like, man, you sound kind of good. Maybe I should get you on some background vocals. And I was like, word. It didn't happen. But it was like it was a seed I felt that was planted. And from there, he invited me to like his listening party for his project at the time. And just I met like other people there that I was fans of, like Cablo Brown, this group. Love them, especially at the time. I was a big fan. They were there. And I was telling them like, yeah, like, Laban's really inspiring me. I think I might want to actually make music for real. And they're like, yeah, you should go for it. And there was all these people just telling me to go for it. So, fast forward to have reached out to him and him being down to pull up and, kick it and like jam and, make something with me is like a complete like dream. There's not much you can really ask for, and in that kind of situation. He's like incredibly gifted like songwriter. And that's kind of it. That's kind of how it started. We got in there, and I played him all the music we already had already. Told him the story about what the music is about,
Mm-hmm.
and he's quick, man. He's quick. Like we got in there, he played some drums. I started on the keys and singing like a melody, and then he wrote on top of the melody for the first verse and hook. But then I wrote the pre, and it was a very back and forth kind of situation, just very fun. Um, and then I wrote the bridge, and yeah, it's a great process. I mean, you can't really ask for a better kind of day or process. I think when it comes to making music.
So it sounds like you've had some experiences where like you're just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. I can talk about. There's so many moments of that happening before I even leading up to that. So I met Daniel Caesar years ago, the day Freudian dropped.
Okay, wow.
A friend of mine. So first off, like that morning, tickets came out for his show that year at the Fonda, and I bought those tickets. They were sold out, and like I'm jamming to the album, it's so good. And then a friend of mine, a core group of mine, is telling me to go to this restaurant called Bossa Nova, which is actually down the street.
I know exactly what it
It's
is.
right here. And I didn't know the studio was here, by the way, but this is how it all kind of works in the same world. It's like right here on Pico or something. And my coworker was like, hey, you should go check out this restaurant called Bossa Nova. It's on Sunset. Okay, cool. But I saw that there was one like here on Pico. So I was like, I'm gonna just go to Pico. It's
closer one.
It's closer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why do I have to go to Hollywood to try the same food?
Mm-hmm.
So on the way there, I'm listening to Freudian. I get there. I'm in line waiting for my food. Let's still listen to the album, and then like his team walks in, and then like it's just like they look kind of important. Is what the thought came to my mind. And then Daniel walks in. I'm like, yo, it's Daniel Caesar. It was one of the craziest moments I think in my life, and like no one else seemed to know or recognize that it was him. It felt like it was just a moment, just meant for like me or for us to just meet each other or something. I don't say that arrogantly. I'm just saying that's what it felt like. And we do like this whole bro handshake thing, and I'm telling him like, yo, I'm like a fan. I love the album, blah blah blah. And at the time, I had also painted him a few times because I was a fan, and I was like, yo, next time I see you, I'll get you prints. And he was like super down. And from there, like fast forward, I go to his show, I stay. I was there. They remembered who I was, and they let me stay for the meet and greet section. Then he had me like sign the prints that I had brought for him.
Wow.
And I met him like multiple times after that, where I was like backstage at another thing at a VIP. I was in like the VIP section for like another show he did, and met him like multiple times. And that was I think like 2017, 2018. So I feel like those moments also like kind of kept pushing me or nudging me in direction of like, maybe I should just try making music. Let me just, go for it. And so, yeah.
So all these different moments, you meeting these different people, things of that nature. What have you learned about yourself making music?
Ooh. I like to take chances. I mean, for a lot of that is, I don't like the idea of living with regrets. So if an opportunity is in front of me and like, I'm just go for it. Who cares? Yeah, that's something I think I've learned about myself, but I'm also like super self-conscious. I wish I didn't have that part of my brain, I wish I was just I guess maybe it is a good side to where I can like, talk myself out of things if things are not going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very kind of like, just taking the moment by, by the, I don't know what's the term.
The gonads.
Well, I was gonna say that. It was just taking things by the horn, taking the bull by the horn, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, there's a really cool moment in front of me. Let me not throw it away because of fear or or doubt. Let me just try it, and whatever happens. So I think that's what I've learned. For me, is that I'm just not that scared in taking a chance, and I would say that for anyone. Don't be scared to take a chance. You never know what can come about, you know.
Yeah.
If you do it.
Take that risk. Cut. You're crazy, bro. When you learn how to play?
I picked it up 2019. I was like, let me just try, you know, because I needed to learn something. Because I can write, but it's better to play, to be able to play something.
Yeah.
It's easier as a songwriter, from what I've learned, that if you can play an instrument, it'll be easier for you to write music.
People talk about legacy a lot, things of that nature. And with your music, you're kind of leaving behind, you know, a legacy, your own legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want, you know, people to, I mean, you're not dead or anything, but what do you want people to remember your music by and remember you by?
I do think about this a lot, so I do have a good, I don't know if it's a good answer, but it's my answer. I want people as a legacy when they think of me. I want them to think of someone who loved God and loved people, and that's all I want out of life, really. So I want to make music that lives in that world, you know. So that's really it, you know. Very simple.
Ketu.